Hi guys, today I'm going to explain to you how to play fraction swap. So in order to play this game, you're going to need some materials. The first thing you're going to need is the set of fraction cards. Those are from the baggie in the box that we have set out for stations today. Everyone who is playing is also going to need a set of fraction bars. So if you have 3 players, you're going to need 3 sets of fraction bars. Everybody has to have their own in order to play this game. So to set up the game, the first thing you're going to do is put the fraction cards in a pile face down. Each of the players who is playing is going to set their whole bar from the fraction set down in front of them. So you'll look through your fraction set, find the one that says 1 whole, and that's going to go in front of you for the whole game. So to win this game, the goal is to cover exactly 1 whole using the least amount of pieces. And that's going to make more sense once we start actually explaining how to play the game. But for your turn, every turn that you go, you're going to have 3 steps. So your first step is to draw one of the fraction cards from the pile that's face down in front of you. And on number 2, you're going to place the matching fraction bar on the hole that you have sitting in front. And step 3 is optional. You can swap pieces for equivalent fractions if you can and if you choose to do so. So you don't have to do number 3 every single time, but it is advantageous to you to do so when you can, because the whole point of the game is to fill up your hole with the fewest amount of pieces. So you want to trade in those smaller pieces for larger pieces if you can. So I want to take you through a couple of example turns. Now obviously your game is going to be a little bit different, but hopefully this kind of shows you how a turn goes. So for example, you're going to pick a card. So for example, maybe you pick a 1/12 card. If you do, you're going to find the corresponding fraction piece and put it on your board, just like in the picture. So because this is your first turn, you obviously don't have any pieces to swap because you can't swap 1/12 for anything else. You only have one of them. So you would need more than 1/12 to swap it for something else. So for example, if you went to the next round and you drew a 1/6, well, you could add that corresponding fraction piece to the board so that now you have 1/12 and you have 1/6. But you could go ahead and swap that 1/6 for 2 of the 1/12 pieces, because as you know, 1/6 and 2/12 is an equivalent fraction. Now, remember, the whole point of the game is to fill up your hole with the least amount of pieces, so you may not choose to swap out those bigger pieces for smaller pieces, because that's making more pieces for yourself, but it could help you plan for a larger swap later in the game. So we're just going to pretend that you decided to go ahead and swap the 1/6 for 2/12. So now you have 3/12 on your bar. For example, on turn 3, you might pick a 1/8. You would find that corresponding fraction piece and add it to your board. So now you have 3/12 and 1/8 filling up your bar. Now obviously you don't have a hole yet. Okay? So here's where switching out those small, bigger pieces for smaller pieces can, work to your advantage, because now we could take those 3/12 and swap them for a 1/4, because 3/12 is equivalent to 1/4. So we could swap those out. So now instead of having 4 pieces on our bar, we only have 2. So you continue playing. Obviously, everyone else is going to get their turn in between yours. They'll play in a similar fashion. You continue until someone in your group fills up their hole without going over. So if you accidentally draw a piece that's too large, you obviously can't put it on your hole, but you do still have the option to make a swap if you're able to. You play until one player fills up their hole exactly. And then after that happens, everyone else who's playing gets to go one more time. The winner is the player who filled up their hole exactly with the fewest amount of pieces. So, if you fill up your hole with 3 pieces, and the person who's playing with you fills up their hole with 5 pieces, then the person who filled up their hole with 3 pieces wins. So you're going to play through 3 rounds, and then you can go ahead and move on to a new station.